one of the things I've toyed with is being able to. So at the moment, we don't always design a mobile version of our emails because, like, we as designers just when we were designing the desktop view, we just already like have the mobile view in mind and we know what we're going to do with it and like how the items are going to stack and whatever else. But it would be nice to, in an ideal world, it'd be like we design the desktop version and then we can just output the mobile version, and then obviously just with a few small tweaks maybe. So it'd only be like 5-10 minutes to make the mobile version.
I guess the tricky thing there is if the content stacks in a different way across those breakpoints, that's where it's better to create different instances. So you'd have 3 different, like for web at the minute we have 3 different layouts, well 4 now because we have 1440. But for things like native apps, if we were mocking up for those, we'd have kind of 320 and then we'd let that scale upwards. Yeah. So we'd always design to the smallest size.
Yeah, at the moment we design, so the max width at the moment is 600 pixels, and then the mobile is just, the smallest is 320. The only reason we don't design mobile first is because obviously with the email it's the other way around. We have more flexibility on mobile than we do on desktop. So we need to design in a way where it's going to work on desktop and then be enhanced on mobile, rather than be fancy on mobile and then degrade it on desktop.
Okay, well, you probably have some kind of common sections within the email that would scale and they wouldn't really change in appearance, but then you'd have some, I guess, that would stack slightly differently. I'd say if you were going to look at kind of using flexible components, start with the smallest size first. So that would probably be like 320 is kind of the lowest supported Apple device. Let's say we were going to make something now. So you'd want to make like a bit of a header for an email. And you can see here how the common colors have been pulled in. If you click on this document and go to common, it'll show the colors there as well. So if you want to pull in the right kind of assets and colors, let's just quickly do this in grayscale for the sake of time. So you've got a header here. You might want to have a title in the middle. So you're going to make that center aligned. Whenever you do something like this and make it scalable, always kind of show the entire area what the text will take up. So, if it's going to be like this, you might want to make it kind of, I don't know what kind of scales you use when you design either, but we use kind of it's an 8 pixel scale, so multiples of 8. So that would work, 40, 40, 24, 24, that fits into that scale. Not going to play around with the typography or anything at the minute, but let's say we group that and create a symbol. We'll call that header. You can horizontally center it, so that means it will grow from the center outwards as you expand. And then it's on the symbols page here. So let's just make sure that it's going to expand the way we want. So with the title, we'd want to pin to the edges and keep at the top. And then with this one, we'd want to pin to every edge. Have you all kind of used these tools before, like the pinning?
I've seen them, but I've not properly used them. So
okay,
yeah, kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, the main kind of difference is once you start to enter into the layout, this is where you can get really clever with what you're doing. You can even prescribe minimum widths as well, so it won't go below 320, for example. And then when we have adjust content on resize, you'll see that grows. And the text area within will always be 24 and 24. It always pins to those sides. If you wanted to add other components into there as well, you can kind of stack vertically effectively. So if you wanted to have, I don't know, some kind of checkbox or button here, let's go 40, 40, and put that in here, 24. Make sure it's 24 from here as well, just kind of consistent. And then again, you make sure that pins to the right and the top, and you want to make sure it stays in a fixed size. So as you stretch it, you don't want that to stretch into an oval, basically. So now if we go back to here, you can see it's there. If we stretch this, the title stays in the middle, and that circle stays on the right-hand side. It also means that if you can have overrides. So if I was to make this circle into a symbol, and I call this, I don't know, right side, doesn't really matter what it is. I make some duplicates of this and put the brackets after, the forward slash after. Call that square. Call this one circle. You can start to see how it kind of goes together. So now we've got an asset in here, which is a symbol. We can start to assign overrides as well. So if that text had a style, let's say we set a style for this and we call it header title. So that's set for that now. You can also lock the text style. So if you were making multiple kind of text styles for your emails, you'd have that. And now if we click on this, we'll see we can override the title, and we can change the circle to a square if we want to. I think that's not broken it though. Let's have a look why. Fixed size. So yeah, you can set these to start with in the original components, and they'll carry through to here. So let's see if it breaks again. Oh, it does. Great. It's sometimes it's always a way. So yeah, still scales, and then hopefully when you swap this out.
So can you make that stack then? So can you have it like, so it's 2 by 2 on like desktop, and then as soon as it gets to mobile, it's 1 by 1. I mean, in our scenario, it's a 4 call down to a 2 by 2, but.
Yeah, the only way you could do that is to set kind of 2 different components, if that makes sense. So once you reach a specific width, you could select the other stack effectively. So let's say you wanted to move this below, for example. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I'll just like scribble on your screen a second. We have like components that are like we basically have. So this is a very common design element in one of our sends, where we have a header graphic, and it'll be like, Asda price on the right, and then these are just 4 noms.
Right.
So if we had like a pre-built maybe symbol, and then because every week basically we change these. I'll remove that now for you.
That's right.
Every week we remove. We change out the products, but essentially it's the exact same design. It's just like the header text might change at the top banner, and then the 4 products below change. So we could probably pre-build that as a component, as a symbol, sorry, and then one day get to a stage of where we could input just the data automatically, and then it will have something that already resizes to. And then stacks, because we've already sort of gone through all that process of setting it up.
Yeah, in terms of and keeping consistent kind of padding between, that kind of makes it a little bit complicated. Whether you put in something that kind of has 0 opacity, for example, as a kind of padding between, that's probably one way around it. So
you could then change the width of that on mobile.
Yeah, so you could potentially even make that a component, and then you could change the size of that component. So if we call this padding 16 pixels, and we make sure that kind of scales left. Well, you want to make it fixed width, and it doesn't really matter about the height, really. You might want to make another variant of that. Let's just duplicate this for the sake of it. For some reason I can't select there we are, it's so narrow. So you might call this padding 32, for example. And again, with the naming conventions, if you put a forward slash on both of these, then you can override them really quickly. So we make this 32, the padding 32. I think that's just centered naturally anyway. And again, you fix the size on that. Once you place those into a grid like this, so let's say you wanted to make like a 4 column, and you wanted the things in between to scale. Here's where it's going to get interesting. I want to know what happens. So yeah, you've got these. As long as the order of how they appear is correct. So you can see that's this is the first padding, that should be second in the list. That shouldn't even be there. Let's have a look. So we've got padding, so that needs to knock down to there, and that one is last. This is what I mean about sketches layers. Sometimes they kind of really go a little bit janky, and you just can't figure out where stuff should be. So ding, 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 ding. Right. So if we select all of these now, and we create a symbol with these, we call that product, and then again for call. So that's going to be up here now. So we can select all of these. Let's have a look. And we can look at how that scales. So that might just scale awfully, but product for call. So you can see that's not working as intended because these should be fixed width.
Yes.
And then these should be, well, ideally we'd do each one of these separately. So you'd have kind of pin to edge, left and right, pin to edge, left and right, etc.
Fixed width.
Yeah. So
that's how we do it anyway. Like even on mobile, they're the same size as what they are.
Yes, that's
desktop.
breaking. It's just sometimes it's trial and error to make it work. Let's go back to this. So everything that I prescribe in this should go through to the others. Let's have a look. Yeah, for whatever reason it's not, but yeah. Let's see what happens here. It is, so you can, it's still growing in the middle between the padding, but you can definitely work around that. It takes a little bit of time to tweak, but I can help you come up with that. It just takes a little bit of trial and error, shall we say, and obviously then you can make up a version that's 8 columns, that's 2 columns, whatever you want, and you can literally just swap that out then, because you've got 4 call here, you can swap to 2, and if you wanted to edit the original product component for whatever reason, so you want a different variant of that, for example, you'd be able to just override those individual product variants. So you could go product and then choose the one you want.
What we'd do is we'd say like product 1 a symbol, product 2 symbol, product 3 symbol, product 4. Edit them in the symbol every week, and then it would just automatically output the mobile and desktop view design.
Yeah.
Because it would just update everywhere.
I think that would work, definitely. Like I say, it's sometimes a little bit of trial and error to get it to work properly, especially with kind of fixed width padding. But yeah, I can try and help you with that if you want to create a quick template. If you give me an idea of the current sizes for product, like the current heights, for example. And then obviously, I think I touched briefly on the accessibility side of things last time as well. So that's something we used a tool called Stark, which is here. So what this can do, it can simulate color blindness. It can check contrast between 2 layers. So we use this extensively when we create the libraries. So if I was to type some text up on here, and I don't know, it doesn't really matter for the purpose of this. So if I select both of those layers and then go to Stark, check contrast, this runs away, comes back, and it tells me whether it passes or fails at WCAG 2.1, I think, or 3.0.
Nice.
And the ratio
I think is what we
passes.
use anyway. So
yeah, and it also tells you the sizes available to pass. So they class normal text as
nice.
A regular font weight at 16 pixels or heavier, and then a regular font weight at 18.66 pixels, or a bold font weight with 24 for large text. It also, if you upgrade to a Pro account, which we haven't, it gives you smart color suggestions, but you wouldn't need to do that with the common library that we have is quite robust.
Yeah, I mean, we're designers anyway, we can figure that out, can't we?
Exactly. But yeah, I always kind of make it best kind of practice to make sure I'm looking at that, because when I started building this and did an audit of what we had, we were using the Asda green everywhere, with kind of within certain areas. Yeah. So we've had to create a whole new color, which is ever so slightly darker, but it's accessible.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I think that would come massively in handy. So is that that's just another plugin, isn't it?
Yes, that's free as well. So I've got that up here. I can share that with you all. Let's just get stark.co.
I'm installing already.
Yeah, I think that's
a great
a
plugin.
really useful one.
Just for kind of your idea, your kind of exposure as well. Like if I was to, I don't know, let's play with some colours. Let's make some blue, some green, some red, and we'll put these on an artboard. So we'll call this. If I go to Stark now, go to Vision Simulator, it also shows you the color blindness as well. Like it gives you 3 most common types on the free account, and obviously pay to play with the rest. So protanopia, deuteranopia, and tritanopia, and obviously you can see the difference that has.
So if you do that on the entire email, then that'd be nice.
Exactly, yeah. Because obviously you might want to be using certain colours to convey a message, or there's some psychological reasoning behind why you've used it. But at the end of the day, there might be some customers out there that aren't even seeing it in its current context.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of our stuff is kind of like dictated by campaign, and obviously, but I think it'd be good for us just to be able to start seeing that and just know and understanding it more as well, and then learning from it. I mean, we could also start going back to like Simon Arundel and stuff, saying, look, this is nice, but it's not, it's not great for these customers.
Yeah, and the UX team are going to make sure that they're being a lot more inclusive in terms of research as well. So we're going to be looking for customers that have access needs or AD needs, and that that's going to really help build a case within the business.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before companies start getting penalised for not.
Well, some companies have in America. Who was it? Was it Beyonce's website? Somebody sued because it wasn't accessible. I don't think a screen reader could read the content or something, or the accessibility, the contrast wasn't great.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's only a matter of time until that sort of just becomes the norm, really. So
yeah,
we need to get on the front foot, really.
Well, we're already on the back foot, to be fair, but yeah, we need to get on board with it, definitely. I think we've had some customers and some staff that work in Walmart that have actually got accessibility issues and needs. So, them coming forward and kind of speaking to us and like being able to talk to blind customers on how they navigate is massive. Just using kind of voiceover. I don't know if you've ever used kind of screen readers or assistive tech just to see how things read out and if the order of information is correct.
So I don't know if you know, but Google Chrome has just released in their latest Inspect element. Yeah. I think if you go into, do you know about Inspect element on Chrome?
Yeah. I've got it open.
There's it's, where is it now? Is it in sources? I can't remember where it is now, so I've not actually used it yet. But they've just added in a way to view what a screen reader would output.
Oh, nice.
So you can actually just like inspect art. I'm going to start like reviewing our sort of templates and stuff. But we already use quite a lot of like special techniques and stuff to like role presentation and stuff like that to make sure we're ignoring tables and divs and whatever else, so that it's only sort of concentrating on the core elements. So we're already all over that.
And obviously, like there's native support on Android and iOS, through VoiceOver and Android's own accessibility tools, which is good. There's even kind of footage of people using a Braille keyboard on the iPhone, which is just insane. This is it. I don't know how it's going to play for you guys, but it's just insane. So a fully blind user using the Braille keyboard.
So it's like haptic feedback, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Amazing. So yeah, just like one of the people that works in Walmart that is kind of an accessibility champion. She's fully blind. She had a condition where she lost her eyesight within a couple of years while she was working at Walmart. She's a massive advocate, obviously, for obvious reasons, for accessibility and inclusive design. And the way she kind of pitches it is if you're catering for the biggest problems that people have. The people with the smallest problems will find it much easier, if that makes sense. If you tackle the bigger problems, you're going to make it more accessible for everyone. So we had a site audit recently by a company just around accessibility, and we'll be using that to shape what we're tackling this year as well.
Nice. No, that'd be good. Keep us up to date, because I think we're definitely, when we joined as a team last year, we completely redid all of their templates because it was just not accessible, like, in the slightest. So now, I think we're probably one of the, along with Web, we're the other team in the company that's actually like pushing for this.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you can do to kind of increase the usability as well. Things like having a minimum touch target. So I think Apple prescribed 44 by 44 pixels. So what I tend to do when I'm working is I'll literally just draw a circle that's like 44 by 44 when it lets me. And I'll just knock the opacity down on it. And then as I'm dragging it over the work, I can see if people are going to accidentally touch other things or if they're going to mistap.
That's a nice idea, yeah.
So that's a good little tip. I don't know if I talked to you before about assistants in Sketch as well. So there's a number of different assistants, and you can actually create your own, which is an interesting one. We're looking to explore just around content. But yeah, there's an accessibility one in here, which is great. I can kind of show you how that works as well if you want. It basically does the job of Stark, but it constantly scans your documents. So if I jump into iOS and I go to Assistants, I've got here the accessibility assistant, which I've run already, and it tells you where shapes or text doesn't meet AA color contrast compliance. So it goes through your entire document and picks up all these issues. Most of all of the issues we've got are on the kind of documentation side, where we've used like light grey and dark grey for the text. So the focus really is on kind of the symbols first. So things like placeholder labels, some of the buttons we have, and then there's some things that are outside of our control, like Apple's own symbols for iOS. But this is really good. You just literally add it into Sketch. It scans the document at all times. So if you make an error or you make an issue with color contrast, it will flag that to you, and you'll receive a notification at the top. So that's another useful tool that we found. We've started to go through all of the libraries with that. Even if we were just to run it here, manage assistance, tick accessibility, save, and as you can see, there's no issues there at the minute. But if I change this text to a similar color to the background, for example, like that should be picking up on that next time it scans, I hope. So sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to sync, but you get the idea. How valuable it can be.
Search.
Yeah,
definitely. It could just be in terms of the workflow, just like before you save that approve. It's like, just run an accessibility check and then...
Exactly. And we're looking at creating our own assistant just around content to make sure like the kind of there's consistency with date formats. There's no kind of truncation. There's no like don'ts, do not instead of do nots. But obviously...
Okay, so like scanning copy then?
Yeah, you can scan copy too.
Nice.
So obviously that needs somebody with kind of dev experience. I think they need to know TypeScript and XML.
Right, okay.
So yeah, that's the only downside. But yeah, I don't know what else you wanted to run through. If there's anything else I can help with, I know we talked about data briefly. I think the only thing I can share at this point is this kind of data page that Sketch have on their documentation. It gives you an overview of how to use data with symbols as well. So you can see here they're kind of going through choosing images based on the profile picture, and they're changing those on the fly. So they're obviously held in a repository or a spreadsheet, and they're bringing those in one by one. And you can add new data sources as well.
Yeah, so I'm just imagining, so essentially like all of our briefing is done, at the moment it's through SharePoint, It's basically an Excel document held on SharePoint, but inside of there we get given like all of the details. We don't get the imagery, but we get like, the was price, now price, if it's on rollback, blah, 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 blah. So kind of like imagine a world where we
You
just...
can pull that in without actually doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it might just mean we just add data, but then if because essentially like the CRM planners are already doing all that work for us, and then we just have to copy and paste and make it look like correct. So I mean, it'd certainly save us a lot of time.
I guess the only question there is how that data is given to you, because that might need a slight tweak in how Sketch pulls that in. So it might be done on a tab basis, in a spreadsheet. It might take a full tab worth of data as opposed to a whole file.
Right.
So it might just be a little bit of exploration either on your end, or we can kind of work together and understand. If you want to send a link to where you're kind of holding the most recently used files, maybe we could try and tackle it separately and see if we can come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you across like what a normal brief looks like for us, and then you can just have a just at least inform us. I mean, I don't really want to be taking up all your time and stuff, so
yeah, it's all right. Even if it's just like half an hour's exploration, see how we can try and start making this work. It's it's fine.
Cool. I can send across an example brief, because I imagine it'll definitely be. It might even be a case of where they brief it in one tab, and then another tab is what we then import into Sketch. I imagine it probably needs it in a CSV type style as well, maybe.
Will it be difficult pulling out? So on a price point, we have obviously the pound is bigger than the pence.
You'd have to kind of split that data, I think. That's what I was saying. You might have to change it so you have a pound in one column, and then you'll have the amount, and then you'll have the pence amount, and then the pence if you show P. So you might have to just amend how that data comes to you, and that might be something that happens further up the line, or you manually do that. I don't know.
Part of me thinks the time doing that, we might as well just change it manually.
I mean, how many assets are we talking about on average?
So, I mean, if we look at this week's price news, I mean, it's going to be a non-issue at some point. Probably.
12 noms.
12 noms on this week's price news. So, like, at the moment, we're in between, like, using MoveBelink, where this is already kind of done inside of MoveBelink, where all we have to do is... are you aware of MoveBelink and what that's?
Yeah, you went through it last time, I think, in one of the design forums, how you use it.
So, essentially, like, we just input the URL of the nom, and then it spits out the design, like, with all the pricing, like, it's all live pricing. And we're going to use that for a while, but then we're going to move over to a new Adobe platform, the Max and Experience platform. And then we're going to be looking at using basically the same thing, but inside of there. Now, the only issue we have is that sometimes we're designing, obviously, things like 2, 4, well, hopefully, we're going to get to like 4 weeks out, where the information that's live on the website isn't true, because like the offer isn't live yet. So I think we're still going to be in a position where, we're still going to need to design it for the future, if that makes sense.
If it's going to be pulled in automatically when it comes to build, why does it necessarily matter about showing the price in there, or can you just put like a placeholder like XXX?
No, so we need to get approval from traders.
Right.
So we need to show the design in its exact format of what it'll appear like in the build before it goes into build, so that it can get fully signed off. All of our sends are approved by like 20 plus people at the moment. So it's like they need to see the exact version with the price that it will go out with, which is another conversation when we start doing live pricing again. Because we can't control what the price is, and the product doesn't show if it's not in stock. So I mean, that's a whole other ball.
That sounds like a bit of a daft decision to try and show the actual price if you're not actually sure what the actual price is going to be. Does that lead to a lot of kind of redo it, like last minute?
Oh yes, very, very often. A lot of the time as well, it's a case of where they've decided, last minute that product is no longer included in that offer because of availability or whatever else, and then we get told to change out last minute. But I think that's always going to be the case. And I mean, as soon as we go to a more personalised world where we're not actually controlling what noms are being delivered, because we've got pulling in previously browsed products and stuff like that, where we have no idea what products are going to be pulled in. We just have to design for every scenario. But I mean, that's kind of like our sort of issues and the world when you get to personalisation, I guess. Is there anything from you guys and in my team? Is there anything else sketch-wise that you are just any shortcuts, anything like any ways of working where you've had issues, where you feel like there's surely a better way of doing something?
I've got a question going back to the resizing.
Yes.
So if you're vertical resizing something,
yes.
So I'm just thinking in terms of our footer, and sometimes we have a big terms section with lots of products in.
That's a good shout, yeah.
So does it automatically stack everything below it?
Can I see an example of that, and I'll take a screen grab and then I'll see how I can make that work.
I'll share my screen now if you want.
Yeah. Share your screen and I'll grab it and then I'll drop it into the sketch file and work on it. And
so
just create
like we've got this symbol where this content here is the same every time.
Right.
This content here is the same every time.
Yeah.
But this content in the middle, obviously.
Oh yeah. That's easy. Yeah, easily done.
So like if that expands at the moment, we end up with that.
Right.
Where it's that, this just overlaps and this doesn't actually...
Have you set that as kind of 3 different components then?
No, so this is literally just one symbol.
It's all right. So that's what you need to do, and you'd have like a variant for the middle bit. So I'll share my screen and then I'll kind of...
Because it's also like, we'd want the area, like, to turn on and off, like the drink aware and such like that.
Yeah, okay. So let's have a look. I know we've only got like 5 minutes, but I'll try and do this as rough as I can.
Thank you.
It's all right. So you're looking at 3 components that are going to scale vertically together. So let's say you've got this one up here is not going to change in height. So that's going to be your... I'm just going to do this really rudimentary. Asda. Then you've got a button. And that's not going to change at any point, is it?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Let's do that. So we've got that. So we'll just make sure they're all lined up. And we'll call that footer top. And if we're using kind of an atomic scale here, we'd go atoms /footer /top. So we'll create that. That'll ping off up to the top. And then we're going to do the next section. So this is T's and C's, left aligned, and then obviously taking up the entire space that it's going to take up. And that's got auto height. So as you increase the height of that, that's going to change. So that's the next bit. So we've got T's and C's short. And again, we can create that, call it T's and C's /short. And then we can create a version of this. So I'll detach this from the symbol. Let's just call it that. And we'll call that T's and C's long. And as long as you set this top to bottom for both of those, so I'll go back to this one as well. Edit source, select it all. Vertical top to bottom, and then you've got the bottom bit. So these are 2 different ones, and then you've got the kind of, let's call this footer blurb for the sake of this. So that's going to sit at the bottom. So we'll call that footer blurb, no layout, and it's when you combine these together that you can start to be a little bit cleverer. So create symbol. Footer, and again it's going to be top to bottom layout, So ideally now, when we move this and we change that second one, we need to just make sure the layer order is right. So you can see we've got footer. I think that's actually taking it straight from there. Let's bring it in. So yeah, as long as we make sure the order of information is right on here, so we don't need to worry about any of that. Right, so if we change T's and C's to long, that should push everything else down. Did you see the height change?
Yeah.
So
Cool.
will that, I'm just thinking, like, is that just is that either like it's either this height or it's this height? It doesn't flex with the...
No, it flexes depending on the content as well. So if I wanted to override where I've written short, if I wanted to go like this, it resizes as well.
So you put the information in there, not inside.
And that's all because of the way that I've created this.
Right,
so
sorry.
This one here and the other one. So the long one and the short one, because they have vertical top to bottom for T's and C's, it pushes everything down.
Amazing. That's what we're...
And as long as you set the same for this one as well, this doesn't have to have a setting for that. That's not going to change in height. That's not going to change in height. It's these two that are going to change the height. So that just means that it's going to obviously extend and... Like if I write loads of stuff in the footer, it's never, ever, 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 ever going to resize. It's going to go off the bottom. That's just the way that's been designed. But with this one, I can either override it to the long version, or you can have drinkware in there to add in as well. That could appear here. So if I know we're short on time, but let's just say
We've got time.
drinkware. Let's just do that, all right? Create a symbol. Drinkware. Right. So then we can even do this. We can add that into the original footer. And then if you don't want it, you can get rid of it. So if we add drinkware into here, like that, add T's and C's, add the footer, and make it the right size, like that. We go back over here, you'll see it's stretched a little bit there. What I need to do there is just set the circle, so it doesn't resize, so fixed size, and then this stays at the top and left and right, and obviously it would span the entire space, and now it's fine. So now if I just type in here and click enter, it will resize to the right size. If I don't actually want the drinkware, I can just go to footer drinkware, no symbol, and it will move everything up.
Nice.
So yeah, I can share this file with you as well if you want to, dig around into it. That might be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think we can start to play around then.
Well, this is where it's complicated. I don't know why I started to do that first. I should have just gone over stuff like this. But yeah, when it's things with fixed widths, sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around with just to make sure it works, because like these shouldn't be going past a certain point. In fact, if I click that and I click that, I wonder if that's going to fix it. Probably not. Set to original size. Yeah, it's still growing. So yeah, there's still issues there. But I'll share this. Give me a shout.
Sorry, you cut out then.
Yeah, I was just saying if there's anything else you need, just give me a shout. And I'll share those files that we went through today.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'll send across just an example of a brief as well on a reply.
Yeah. If you want to try and link up that common library, that's probably a good starting step as well, because there's a lot of kind of value toolkit in there as well that you might want to use.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll all get it saved locally.
Yeah.
And then at least we've got a version then. I think if we try and save it on the server, we'll just be adding to the duplication of mess then.
Yeah, definitely.
I know there's, have you been included on any DAM talks?
No.
So there's a data, like the digital asset management system that they're going to be using Adobe by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Which obviously won't sync naturally with Sketch, I doubt. But it might be a good resource for us to all host information.
Yeah. I think this has always been a problem, like having a central repository.
Yeah, it's definitely it's happening. It's part of the. I don't know if you're aware of Merkle.
Angela.
Basically, there's a company being brought in called Merkle who are handling the digital overhaul of Asda. Now that's everything from marketing automation platforms to, I mean, you might even be worth trying to get in touch with them to get Abstract involved. But I don't know what the situation is with obviously the Walmart teams and Asda and all that.
Yeah, so
at the moment, but
yeah, it's quite complicated, I guess. I'm trying to lead the charge for Figma at the minute within our team as well, as a kind of future tool. But obviously, that's an implication for everyone else involved who uses libraries because we'd move away from Sketch. So it needs to be a more joined-up effort.
Yeah, I think in terms of my team, we've not used Figma yet, purely because of the your aforementioned reasons. But I don't believe there'd be anything stopping us on our side. I mean, whether or not Jake's team would have something else to say, I'm not sure. But
just on that, I've been looking at in detail, I guess, what we can get out of Figma and the benefit it gives us. Because we use Abstract, we use InVision, we use Zeppelin, we use Sketch. That's 4 different tools. This does all of that, so it's already a cost reduction. And you can work on things collaboratively. So if you wanted to have 2 people in the same sketch file, that's just not possible. Even with Abstract, you'll get issues. With a Figma, you can have multiple people in there working at the same time.
Yeah. No, I can see the benefit, and I know. I've spoken to Jake about it previously about we know it's coming, it's happening, which seems contradictory as the fact that we're now moving everything over to Adobe systems, but even though Adobe's dying, but never mind.
Yeah, Walmart have got a trial on at the minute with Figma. They've been trying to get it for probably the best part of a year and a half, and they've managed to just start that going now. But because we're moving away from Walmart, we can't really use their licenses.
Yeah. But you'd never think moving away from Walmart was a bad thing, but never mind.
Can I be really annoying? And I just wanted to mention one issue I had with Sketch, and that was copying an icon out of Illustrator into Sketch.
Right.
Everything, I outlined everything and then resized it, and I dropped it in 4 different times, and each time it was a pixel off, or it moved. And I don't know if that's because the original artwork we're using half pixel sizes or something, but I'll just share my screen because I just got a screenshot of it.
Yeah, go for it. I've got another tip after this, actually.
Nice. We're all about top tips of the day in the CRM team.
I've got 2 top tips.
Oh no, that's just not allowed.
Spoiling, I don't mind running over if you don't as well. Obviously, it's 5 past already.
Yeah, I think we're fine. I've told the guys we can drop tools for this meeting.
Yeah, we're just going to delay our lunch for a bit.
Well, hopefully it's worthwhile and valuable.
Sorry, I'm having to export it out of Zoom because it won't let me share my screen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with all the icons that you use then in your team, Gary, is it a case of where they're SVGs or where are those icons being created in the first place?
So they're all created in Sketch, and then they are outputted. So within our design files, when we use Zeppelin to hand over to devs, we'll segregate different versions. So within Sketch, you can export multiple different formats at the same time. So we usually do PDF, PNG, and SVG, just because that caters for native apps as well. But we also have to be wary of how we export for web. Sometimes we'll end up having issues with layer masks and things like that, so we have to remove those before we export them for web.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's your issue.
Same image copied in 3 times.
And different results each time.
Yeah, although the shadow on one of them I did move in Illustrator, but everything else has changed.
Yeah, the wheels, the lines on the back.
Yeah.
I imagine it's the pixel grid of Sketch. It's just trying to do its best at making a complete circle.
It would be in your preferences if you'd set it to land on specific pixels as opposed to subpixels.
So maybe that's where it. So would that be in preferences, and then
I think it's under. Let's have a look.
there's one thing that gets me about Sketch is that there's like barely any preferences to change.
Yeah, there really isn't. Let's have a look.
Because for me, that's the only one downside, because XD just...
Yeah, so it's under layers. So if you go to preference, let me show you now. I can show you on here.
Fit layers and points to pixel bounds.
Yeah, so you should be able to see here pixel fitting.
Yeah.
That just means it'll snap to pixel effectively. So the other tip I wanted to give you, obviously we work in an 8-pixel scale. Sometimes we'll use 4 as a kind of an edge case, but if you go into Canvas, there's a couple of shortcuts you can make at the bottom. So when you're nudging things with the arrow keys, you can nudge it 1 or you can move it 10 if you hold shift. You can change that amount. So if you change it to 8, it'll work a lot better with our kind of layout and typography. Some of the assets that we have are built on this scale as well.
So you work on is it 24?
8-pixel scale.
8-pixel scale, yeah, okay. Because
any multiples of 8, and obviously sometimes we'll go down to 4.
Yeah, I mean, ours is kind of whatever we feel like doing at the time.
That looks good at 18. That one looks good at 25.
Yeah, it's not perfect yet.
No, that's fine.
We've done nursery in EM, so then the 8 pixels would work better in that format anyway, because of the way we should space stuff. So, but I know
so that
XD I've been using like 10 pixels spacing, so like 20px from text to button.
Yeah, so we use 2EM on padding left and right on like core elements. And then inside of that is 1EM, isn't it, for us?
Yeah.
Which is 16, isn't it? So, yeah. Okay, that could work then. Maybe we need to start coming up with some... I mean, this is going to be part of... like when I re-look at all of our sends anyway, I think. Start to get some proper templates sort of like set up and ready to go.
This is the next thing I want to show you. I don't know if you know what this shortcut does already, but it's great. Let's say you draw a rectangle, and then you want to move that over, and you want to give it like 16 pixels or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Click Command D, does it again and again and again and again. So it repeats what you did last time as an action.
Nice.
You can do that in Illustrator, can't you, as well?
Yeah, similar kind of thing, but it works on multiple things. So it might be you've just typed up some content and you want to copy that across. You can just do that again and again across different outboards potentially. But yeah, it's a really useful shortcut.
I don't know why I've not been doing that. Like, I know it exists, and I've just not been doing it.
Yeah, same. I forget. I think I'm used to Windows. Because my previous role in Asda, I was on a Windows, so it's like I felt like I had to learn all shortcuts again, even though it is just a command button instead of Windows key.
And then just again, with the different options we have, like for the shapes here and for the width of the padding, when you go into symbols, you can see how they're broken down because of the / they go into a folder structure. So we have footer, we have padding, we have right side, we have T's and C's. So obviously, the more kind of understanding you have over the folder structure and how you organize files, the easier those libraries and files are going to be to use. Obviously, having repeated content like footer / isn't great, because that would technically be like an organism, as it's a couple of atoms put together. You don't have to follow the atomic structure either. It's just all about naming conventions and making sure it's clear which ones to use, because I think we've had issues in the past because we've used 3 different naming conventions to get developer buy-in early on. We've been using iOS, Android, and web naming conventions across the libraries. It's quite confusing for designers coming in because what is a header and footer on responsive web is like a navigation bar and a tab bar on iOS. So it's not ideal. I'll share this file with you all. I'll send a quick email over with it on, and then you'll be able to dig around in it. Did you take notes down on how to link the libraries?
Yeah, I think we've got that. Is everyone clear on that team? Yeah.
I probably need to go through it again because it's just that getting my head out of offline, having it local and connect.
Yeah, so it's never going to be connected. I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to have like a monthly kind of update where I'll release notes and give an update onto the SharePoint and just instruct you guys to download the latest version. But in terms of the library, you'd go to Preferences, Library, and then wherever you've saved these libraries, you probably just need responsive web and common to begin with. You just choose those from here, and then you click open, and then they would appear up here. So the common library will give you access to all the kind of text styles and also the colors. So you can see here in common, there's a load of text styles at different sizes. So we tend to use kind of extra small to extra large is how we determine that. So you can see there's some others in here for like style guide, which you can ignore. But for the most part, those are the ones. We use those across all of our platforms.
I think that aligns up with what we're using as well, mostly.
Yeah. And obviously, I think 16. We'd use 16 for body copy, like the M.
Yeah.
We are using 17 on our emails, I think, and regular.
Okay.
You use bold.
What, in text?
Yeah.
I think we use that for more text links. It's a semi-bold style. Yeah. But yeah, it's just having access to that common library is going to be good for you guys, I think, in terms of colour and typography. And if you wanted to bring buttons and things in, they're all in there as well. We've got links. We've got the different states for buttons as well. So you can see, you can bring that in, you can override it, you can change the size of it, and it shouldn't break unless you obviously go way past there and it starts to stretch. So these are all kind of responsive in terms of width. Awesome. Right, well, I'll send that through and you can get some lunch.
Well, that was really helpful. Cheers, Gary. I guess if we've got any questions, you want to just clear them with me, and then we can sort of get them all together, and then
just get a list of questions together. And if you've got any examples, or where you think of another scenario where you wanted to know how to do something or something wasn't working, just ping them across to Mark as well, and we'll try and get a session in to go through.
Brilliant. I think there's some nice naming convention stuff in there as well, which would probably help us a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Just the folder structure.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could folder structure the symbols, so that was a massive learning curve.
Yeah, as long as it's consistent. Like we've got libraries now, like the icon library, because we split it between system, basic, and circular. I think it is. It means that you get 3 different options, so you don't get all of your icons in the drop down. When you're changing them, you literally just get like the basic ones or the circular ones or the system ones. You don't get all of them at once. So that's something I'd be kind of mindful of in future.
Thank you.
But yeah, no worries. All right, I'll send all that through, and I'll have a catch up with you, Mark, at some point in the future.
Perfect.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.